I'm Brandie Yates, and we're here with Tavis Millerov, the Meridian Township Fire Inspector, to talk about cooking safety. It's holiday season.
Yep.
A lot of people are in the kitchen.
Gobble, gobble.
People need to know.
That's right. So right around this time of year, we always see a bigger uptick in fires, especially related to cooking. And so this is a great time of year where we come in and want to remind everybody some kitchen safety tips. We've got lots of holiday gatherings going on, lots of family coming around the house, and so let's get started. One of the biggest things that we see when it comes to kitchen fires and problems in kitchens is just plain old unattentiveness. People, there's lots of stuff going on, the kids are running around, you forget something.
Easily.
Exactly, you forget something is on the stove. One of the things I always learned from fire school was that have an oven mitt on anytime that you're actually cooking. And that way, when you go to do something else or something else distracts you and you have to leave the room, you having to take that oven mitt off reminds you, oh wait, I've got something on the stove. It reminds you to get back there and make sure you're tending to it and nothing happens. One other thing to point out with the stoves, while you are cooking, we always tell people to make sure your handles are turned to the side. That way, if you have little ones around, they'd like to reach up and grab things. The last thing we want is some little kid coming along, grabbing a hold of that and dumping a hot pan of Vera's good rice on anybody, okay?
Before you go on with kids in the kitchen,
yes,
what kind of things can they do that maybe you recommend that they're not touching the sharp knives or being close to the heating sources?
You know, the best thing I can recommend for kids in the kitchen, stay out.
Okay.
Okay? There's so much going on in there. It's a great idea. If you can just keep the kids out of the kitchen, that is going to be the #1 tip to avoid any incidents as far as that through the holiday season.
Okay. And so keep going. So we got our pans. What about things in the oven?
Things in the oven, you know, the biggest thing to know is that when you do have items cooking, baking, whatever in the oven, make sure it's clean. That's the biggest problem we find, is that someone inadvertently spills something in the oven, something ends up boiling over, and if it doesn't get cleaned up right away, then the next time they go to use it, we have this great big flaming mess that's going on in there. So make sure the oven's clean. Make sure when you're going and using a towel, if you have, let me grab another prop here.
Okay.
If you have the hand towels around, you know, one of the things we do see occasionally is somebody being really quick ends up throwing it to the inside of the oven door versus where it should be, you know, normally placed, which is on the handle of the oven door. So
people are in a hurry, once again, distracted.
Exactly, distractions. You know, the kids are running around, little Johnny's crying for some reason. It's, you know, all these things all come together, and it just causes mishaps. So
okay.
So just make sure that. Also, keep your grease, you know, down to a minimum. Always take care of that as soon as you can. Obviously, hot grease is something to be aware of. So some things need to be, you know, cooled off before you can actually properly dispose of it. We don't recommend trying to walk hot grease through a house or anything, but just make sure you're put into a safe place and get it out of the way.
What about a grease fire? What can people know to put out a grease fire?
Grease fires, the #1 thing to know about grease fires is do not put water on it. Grease fires will basically explode in size when you put water on it. So what you want to use is either have a fire extinguisher nearby, which is what we always recommend, having one at the ready. Also, you can use baking soda, or something simple with a pan like that, just put the lid on top of it. As soon as you put that lid on it, you're going to cut the oxygen off. That fire is going to go off really quick. And then remove it from the heat.
Okay.
That's the best thing to do for it. As long as we're talking about grease, let's talk about turkey fryers.
Turkey fryers are popular.
Turkey fryers are always popular.
Yes.
Once we did our first fried turkey at our house, we've never looked back. Anyways, so turkey frying, make sure that the key to turkey frying and keeping that safe is making sure that the bird is thawed, that the pot is not too full of oil and not too hot.
We've seen those videos where it actually bursts into flames.
Yes, we've seen the videos where they burst into flames. We tried to recreate that a couple of years ago. Didn't work out so well. Anyways.
See, you guys were so safe.
I know,
that
we were way too safe. We couldn't make it happen. But those are the 3 keys. Bird is thawed and dried. You actually want to pat the outside of the bird down.
Before putting it in grease.
Yes, pat it down with paper towel to get the excess moisture off it. It's always going to bubble up some because of the hot grease, but with that bubbling up action, if it's too wet, that's where you get the spill over. And as soon as you get the spill over the pot, that's when you get the fire to ignite.
Okay. Anything else? So we talked a lot about Thanksgiving, the holidays, like Christmas, Hanukkah, all those kind of things. Anything else you want to say about just having access people in the kitchen and just properly knowing your heating sources and what to keep away?
Yeah, you know, we have lots of different things within the kitchens that, you know, we're using multiple appliances all at once, you know, not only just the stove. We may have the toaster oven going, a hot plate, a griddle, you know, all these different things going on. Just being mindful of anything that can burn, being too close to your heating sources, making sure you're keeping those things away. And again, if you can keep the chaos in the kitchen down, which I know some people, especially my wife, thrives on the chaos.
Very
popular. It always makes for a great holiday dinner, but if you can keep the chaos in the kitchen down, you're definitely going to have a more successful event.
And to kind of piggyback off of that, of multiple appliances, I mean, is that more of like an electrical fire could possibly happen if you have all these things running?
It's always a possibility. We, you know, with the way electricity works nowadays in having multiple components and circuitry within your kitchens, we don't see it that often.
Okay.
What we see more or less is not so much electrical overloading, is just simply combustibles, you know, things like your paper towels are too close to the stove or being too close to the toaster oven or something like that. That'll catch anything like this on fire pretty easily.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you so much, Tavis.
You're welcome.
And hopefully you stay safe in the kitchen. We will be talking to you soon about winter seasonal heating safety and carbon monoxide and that kind of thing. So thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you for watching.